What's going on YouTube? Birdman here with another Devastator build. Today we're going to be talking about my Firepower Devastator that really focuses on Boulderdash and getting you the highest armor possible to help out the Deathproof set. Now before I get into the video, letting you know I'm more likely over on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Birdman778. Start every single day starting at noon Eastern Standard Time, so stop on by, let's get some viewer games in and check out some of these awesome Devastator builds. Also make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video, sub into the channel, and maybe become a member if you really just want to be like the homiest of homies. And finally, follow me over on Twitter, twitter.com/Birdman778 for some super subpar tweets and bad takes. Now, let's jump right onto the video. So I mentioned this is a Firepower Devastator that is really focused around the Deathproof set. Now, we have done some of these Deathproof Firepower builds in the past, but this one is actually one submitted to me from a member of my community. We all kind of worked on it together during a stream one day. Street King and Saxon Vids definitely put in a lot of effort helping me out with this, so big shout outs to them. But this is something pretty interesting because we've never really pushed into getting a whole lot of armor from different mods to then help boost up our firepower through the Deathproof set. Now, first off, let's talk about what weapons we're going to be using for this build. First off, we're going to go with the Fatal Symbiote. Obviously, I got the Damio cameo on it, camo on it right now. But this has armor piercing, status, power, and close range damage, and comes with the mod Dark Sacrifice. During combat, your weapon drains up to 50% of your health in exchange for 75% weapon damage bonus. This is wonderful just because whenever you get that low health, you get a lot of damage boost. But the ultimate damage link is probably the biggest thing there. Shots link up to 4 enemies, sharing 40% of their weapon damage dealt and 20% anomaly damage dealt. Now, this essentially makes the Fatal Symbiote probably the strongest weapon in the game, in my opinion, when it comes to just like single target mobbing, all that stuff. Because when you just focus on one person, everyone else around them dies as well. And including all the firepower bonuses and weapon damage bonuses that we have in this build, it makes this an absolute easy weapon to use, especially in the solo play. I mean, you will one clip a bird mother at times. It's amazing. But we're also using an Inferno Seed on this as well with the Wrath of Moloch. Those critical shots do burning damage and just do a large explosion, as well as Fortress. Shots increase your armor and resistances by 5%, stacking up to 3 times. And at those maximum stacks, the buff is doubled and additionally grants 30% increase for 10 seconds. This is amazing because it just helps out this build, one where the more armor we have, the better off we are. And the fact that it doubles that, including the fact that it gives us more weapon damage, just makes the Inferno Seed an absolute just destroyer single target weapon. Now, when it comes to which armor we're using, obviously, again, we keep talking about Deathproof. First off, we're going to do the Deathproof Mask with bonus firepower, close range damage, and healing received. We're keeping on that Primal Weakness mod on it, and then adding on Power of the Stones. Power of the Stones is going to come from the statue set, and it reads, when the skill's active, allies are given up to 40% weapon damage bonus for 8 seconds. Now, this affects you as well. I don't know what the wording is on there and why it says that, but yes, obviously, it will give your friends weapon damage, but it also gives you that as well. This is going to be great for using Tremor in those scenarios, for not only a big enemy might come out, something like that, but also if you're kind of in a tough spot, Tremor will naturally heal you, and so you're able to kind of get some healing off and damage at the same time, take out targets, and then heal yourself just through your natural Devastator abilities. When it comes to the Deathproof chest piece, we added on Tainted Blood and kept on the Primal Armor. The Primal Armor is huge for this just because it reads, double your armor when the skill ends for 7 seconds. Obviously, we're constantly doing that, and this also stacks, so it's super helpful, but also the Tainted Blood because of another mod that we're going to have on a different piece of gear. This will essentially just give us that bonus damage to bleeding targets. We're also running around meleeing and doing stuff like that at the same time, so just running up to a target, hitting them, they'll immediately be inflicted with bleed, and then that means you're immediately doing more damage to them. And the final piece of the Deathproof set to kind of finish this off for us is the Deathproof Legs with firepower, close range damage, and healing received, and the set perk of Primal Chain Gun. Every enemy damaged by the skill increases your weapon damage by 15% for 10 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Now, this is amazing because, one, you can just activate it and immediately get that first stack of weapon damage, but since we are using the Deathproof set, which reduces our cooldown of Boulder Dash by 90%, increases our firepower by 15% of our armor, we're able to constantly activate this, chain it off of things like Primal Armor, doubles our armor, which is then going to affect the Deathproof set, give us more firepower, and then just Primal Chain Gun as is, hitting enemies, especially big groups. You will absolutely decimate everyone almost instantly. If you hit 5 targets, GG, well played. You won the game. I mean, it is absolutely insane. Bird Mothers can't stand a chance. The Behemoths can't stand a chance. I dare want to take this into Eye of the Storm solo and see how fast I can destroy Yagik if I were to to hit a couple enemies, get all these bonuses set up, and then just immediately attack them. But it's pretty awesome because we also add on personal space, granting 25% close range weapon damage. This is kind of a different one for us. We kind of want to make sure that we have enough enemies around us just to boost up that damage, but essentially just ensuring that whenever we're close to people, we're going to do as much damage as humanly possible. Next up, we got Gauntlets of the Cannonball with firepower, cooldown reduction, skill, life leech with the set perk Captain Hunter, and then we added on that primal gutting to inflict bleed whenever we use Boulderdash. Again, this will chain really well with Tainted Blood, and just essentially ensure that whenever we hit a group of targets, we're just going to get that extra 25% bonus. Something to also add, the fact that we have skilled life leech on this is pretty nice. We don't have that on pretty much any other piece of gear, but us inflicting that bleed on enemies is essentially going to feed into that skilled life leech, ensuring that we're going to be getting health from enemies that happen. Same thing when it comes to just the boulder dash as is, or using our tremor. Essentially, anytime a skill is inflicting damage upon an enemy, that activates skilled life leech, which is then going to give you health. And finally, we have the Deathproof foot gear. We end up just putting this on mainly because of the set perk for it. Incoming damage is reduced by 3% for each enemy in close range and stacks up to 8 times. This is really nice just to essentially make us as tanky as humanly possible. With Boulderdash, you're always going to be running into the thick of it. So this is a really solid perk just to make sure that we have as much damage reduction as humanly possible to stack with our high armor. Now, we also added in mitigation from death. Now, this is one that Street King really pushed for me to use just because killing enemies while aiming down sights grants 45,000 points of armor for 10 seconds and stacks up to 3 times, essentially ensuring that we're going to be getting close to 120,000 extra armor just for doing this, which is then going to feed into our Deathproof set, giving us higher firepower. Again, activating those mods that give you a lot of armor will work really well with this. We're going to be working on another build here soon. We're going to be using Earthquake, where it steals armor as well as gives us higher armor whenever enemies are afflicted by it, and see how it synergizes with this build. Again, these are the things that guys need to check out over on my Twitch channel whenever I'm streaming during the days. Obviously, we're using Boulderdash Tremor, but we also added Reflect Bullets because it's going to chain really well with another ability that we're going to activate in our skill tree. The fact that we're able to activate Reflect and immediately turn it off essentially resets the cooldown for it so that we're able to use it again and constantly use it for this skill that we're going to be talking about here in a second. So when it comes to our skill tree, we're obviously going to the Firepower set. We're going to be going first off into this Havoc here, and here, just to make sure that we're getting an extra boost to our weapon damage. We only activate this one armor breaker here to essentially get through the tree. We don't use shotguns for this build, so there's really no need for that. We got this brawler here and here for an extra boost to our close range damage. We went to this assault depth for some extra assault weapon damage, and then this champion mod is the one that we were talking about with Reflect. Using a protection skill increases weapon damage by 45% for 10 seconds. Again, this is awesome with Reflect because we're able to instantly activate and turn it off, get that cooldown back to Reflect to essentially ensure that as soon as that 10 seconds is over, we can reactivate it. And this also Reflect is just really nice for some scenarios where you got a lot of enemies shooting at you. The second part of Frontline, where you're running up the hill, is a great example of this because you can just run up it real quick, hold that up, make sure that all those bolts coming at you are stopped, resend them, activate Boulderdash, run into the thick of it, and then just start your rampage from there. We also got this bullseye right here for extra critical damage, and then we go into Assault Master to essentially ensure that our SMGs, our assault rifles, our light machine guns, and double guns all get a big boost to damage. You can definitely swap out other weapons in this, but I think the Fatal Symbiote is like an absolute must for this build. I would say like a Thunderbird or a Roaring Umbra would also be a pretty solid option if you want to change something out, but Fatal is like an absolute lock for me. We have this one perpetual motion here just to make sure that our kinetic cooldown is a little bit higher, making sure that Boulderdash is able to use more. Then we go into both these dry them outs here and here for an extra 10% weapon life leech. And then this is an interesting perk that I don't normally go into on Top Tree, Bounty Hunter. Increase damage against elites by 15% and ensure that elites do 15% less damage to me. I don't normally go into this. This is another one that Street King really pushed me to pick out. And I really like how it chains with Captain Hunter, essentially ensuring that anytime an elite attacks us, we're just going to absolutely melt them in 2 seconds. We probably could avoid this if you really wanted, and probably avoid ammo stockpile, increase your magazine size by 50% to essentially go down to here to Stone Circle to increase what is considered close range. But that essentially is going to come up to you and what you want to do. But at least for this is a pretty solid setup for just destroying any type of boss enemy. Bullet Storm, making sure that we get that faster reload speed. Again, I mentioned ammo stockpile, getting a higher magazine, really solid for things like our Fatal Symbiote, or even the Inferno Seed, making sure we're essentially getting another like full 3 shots out of it. And then confrontation. Enemies who damage you will still have their physical damage reduced by 10% for 5 seconds, and this effect is doubled if you damage that enemy as well. Essentially ensuring that whenever we're going to like a mobbing melee scenario, that we're just going to be able to take less damage from that, and then if we're just damaging them, again, we're continuously taking less and less damage. And then finally, Altered Charge. When that Kinetic skill ends, increase your weapon damage by 70% for 10 seconds. Again, we're always activating Boudlerdash for this, so this is a solid perk to add on to it. Thank you so much for stopping by this video. Hope you guys really enjoyed. Again, I really like doing these builds where we're really bringing a lot of different opinions and thoughts from our community. The dev community is awesome. I love all my Devastator people out there. You guys are the best. But getting to do different builds with you guys is super awesome. I'm glad that we're able to collaborate this way, and it's a lot of fun. So make sure you're stopping over by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/wordman778. Be part of this collaboration. Please, please, please. I love having all of you guys out here. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video, subscribing, and possibly becoming a member, and following me over on Twitter, twitter.com/wordman778. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by this video. I hope you have a great rest of your night, day, whatever it may be.